warm welcome to our students from the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. I don't know your name, so maybe you can tell us your names before. Okay, welcome, sir, and welcome, Javan. All right, so we have our first speaker this morning. I know some of you are anxious about the Uber. Oh, there's another one? Oh, what's your name? Well, welcome, Dimitri.
She is not
No, that's
she's like a student.
a student. All right, I know some of you are anxious to ask the minister questions about the Uber situation, and any other questions you have, he's very willing to. Mr. Minister?
Thank you very much, Kirby. I think we'll probably start off with you asking the questions and my responding to them. So maybe that might be a better format rather than me saying anything. Or maybe I can just make a general statement. Let me make a general statement? Yeah. I think I want to start to make it very clear that contrary to what you've been hearing, reading from, various sources, that the government of St. Lucia has not in any way approved, sanctioned, or encouraged Uber to operate any service in St. Lucia. I can indicate to you that Uber first contacted the government in December, indicating that they had an interest in setting up a service in St. Lucia. They described themselves as a technology platform that offers transportation for people who wanted to move from point A to point B. We indicated to them then that we would be reviewing their intention and that we shall be interested in having discussions with them. They sent in a second note indicating that there had been substantial interest in St. Lucia from taxi associations and from individual taxi drivers. So they were going to move ahead. We again told them that we would want to discuss the matter with the stakeholders and with with Uber itself. And last weekend, I think, we got a notice from them saying that they were launching their service the following day. We indicated to them that we were planning to meet with them to discuss the matter in detail and that they should not proceed. We have a meeting scheduled with them tomorrow. We have a meeting scheduled tomorrow morning with the taxi union, National Taxi Union, where we will discuss the matter. And hopefully by next week, Monday, I can give you an update on the matter. Again, I want to make it very clear that the government has not approved, encouraged, or sanctioned Uber operating any service in St. Lucia. And after probably next week when we meet, I can give you all the technical details associated with the offering of such a service.
All right. Question from me.
I thought you said you didn't have an Uber.
I do have one now. I have one now. So I know that these are still preliminary conversations and nothing is set in stone yet. But in your opinion as the Commerce Minister, this addition to our market or the growing of this transportation market is a need that St. Lucia does have. So what are your thoughts on the growth of this market in general, not necessarily to do with Uber, but the growth of this market?
Well, I think we have started a process of reforming the taxi sector, and I would have briefed you on many occasions about the TXCs. So it is a sector that we do have a deep interest in, and that will continue to work to regulate it and modernize it as best as we could. Uber now poses a new reality to us that we have to respond to, and like I said, once we finish with the deliberations tomorrow with both the National Taxi Union and with Uber, I'll be able to give you a more comprehensive update on our position.
We know that Uber is more of an American or international service, but down here we have similar services such as R8 and Tropicab, I think. Are those stakeholders part of this discussion that will be taking place?
Well, they will have to be before the government adopts any position and before we express definitively to Uber how we move forward as a government. We will be speaking to all the stakeholders involved. And in this case, we have two taxi apps already, two platforms already available in St. Lucia.
store managers of HTS. So, in reality, is anything that the government could do to prevent Uber from operating? Because from my understanding right now, Uber is already operating. What can the government do?
Well, I think Uber launched their service prematurely. I mean, put it that way. And I'm not saying prematurely meaning that they would have been given approval. Prematurely from the point of view that we indicated to them that we'd want to discuss their interests to operate in Central, because they wrote to us. And then, of course, we'd have to consult with stakeholders, consult with all the players involved, and to get back to them. And that process is an ongoing process. And I think personally that you need to respect national processes. If you say, I want to come to a country to set up a business, and we say to you, well, let's go through the process. We're going to talk to our stakeholders. We're going to review it, and we'll have discussions. You should respect that. And I think they're premature from that perspective, that they went ahead, even when we said to them that we would be, consulting them.
But what are you going to do? Can the government or do you have any policy?
I'll tell you on Monday.
Do we even have legislation for that to be able to
I'll tell you on Monday. You'll get a full, range of options available to us on Monday.
Minister, so you mentioned that the government has not approved the launch of Uber in St. Lucia, but you would be surprised to know that it's up and running. In fact, there were many
I'm not
persons.
surprised.
Well, there were many persons on the weekend who were very much excited about the initiative, but it also has been one that has been met with strong opposition. So can you tell us some of should it be approved in St. Lucia, can you shed light onto some of the potential benefits to our local taxi drivers, because they seem to emphasize that it's going to be beneficial to our local taxi drivers. So what do you
Well, again, once we've made a decision, it would take into cognizance all those benefits. And then I will present it to you once we meet again next week, Monday. But you said strong opposition. Where is the strong opposition?
From the taxi drivers.
Well, these are the same taxi drivers that are signing up with Uber, but anyway, Uber has from all, and we're going to ask them that tomorrow to show us, slate. I mean, Uber wrote and said, look, they have hundreds of taxi drivers that have signed up with them and 5 associations. Well, they've said so. They need to indicate to us, and I'll ask the taxi associations tomorrow. Have you all given Uber, undertaking that you all will work with them? So let's be transparent and put everything on the table. So if government is going to make a decision, and let me tell you, we've not made any decision on this matter. Government is going through the process of consultation right now.
Do we need to make a decision? Based on the kind of business it is.
Yeah, I wasn't done. So you said the premature start. Are there any legal implications for that, considering that they've started without government approval?
I think we'll discuss that with Uber tomorrow.
Okay.
Based on the kind of business it is, do they even need government approval? Is there anything stopping them from just going ahead without any government approval? They don't need licenses to operate
Well,
an app?
they've gone ahead.
Right.
So, they can
So
go
there's
ahead.
nothing
It's
we
a
can
question
do
of
to
what
stop
can
them?
we do in response. And that's what we will discuss. We want to have the most amicable conversation tomorrow, guided by what the stakeholders say.
But do you think it's a good thing for St. Lucia in general? Do you think it's
I think I'll share my opinion with you on Monday next week.
Moving a bit away from the Uber conversation, I want to speak about the Creative Industries grant. I know that there was supposed to be some correspondence in December, but from all indications, from people I've spoken to and myself, I've not received any correspondence in that regard. Can you give us an update in that regard, and what can applicants expect?
Well, I must say to you, when we came up with the idea to provide some support to the creatives for the grant facility, we never, ever expected that kind of response that we got. I mean, we had almost 1,000 applications requesting assistance. When we tallied, the total amount of monies requested came up to about $4 million. $4 million. Now, the amount of money the Prime Minister gave us, no way comes close to that amount of money. So what I decided was to say to the Prime Minister, look, before we start deciding this one gets and the balance do not get. Let's see how much more money we can get. So we've made a request, and it's going to be provided for in the coming estimates. The new financial year starts 1st of April. So we have two options. Either we take the most worthy ones, in terms of those that score the highest, and use the monies we have, which is about $400,000, and deal with those, and let all the others wait until we know how much money we will get in the next financial year, and then disburse. As it is, some people will be disappointed. There's no way we can give 1,000 grants. So there will be disappointment. But we did not want to start, giving some persons approval and support and others still not sure what's going to happen. So we want to know what's the totality of money that we will have, and then we will then decide how to apportion it. So it's really unnerving for the creatives, and I can understand why. But we got some really good requests. I can tell you, some really good requests. And there are some that are not, I won't say not good, but maybe not the traditional. And we need to figure out how to resolve it, because when we came out with the idea of the grant, is because we were getting so many requests in the ministry for creatives that wanted support for activities. So we wanted to say, look, tell us what you want to do. We got an extra $400,000. But let me tell you, from police to publishing books, to cameras, to drones, to underwater drones, to, exhibitions, to all different kinds of requests, that is just really overwhelming.
Could, just learning from this going forward, could, when another grant possibly comes out, could we be a little bit more specific as to what we're looking for, so that this set gets this time, and next set gets next time? Because I can understand from what you say, it could be overwhelming for facilitators and to go through all those applications, right? So maybe we need to be a bit more specific when we say creatives, because creativity is a very broad topic.
Yeah, I mean, it was overwhelming, but also very inspiring. I mean, they were not recognizing there were so many people who wanted to do a little something. Put it in simple ways, who wanted to just do something, and they wanted support to make it happen. It was really, really inspiring. And I wish I had $5 million that I can just give everybody support. Because, there were really some exciting ideas, whatnot. Now, that's the danger of what you've just said. And as much as you are right, from a procedural, operational point of view, you're right. But you just want everybody, that's what creativity is about. Think of an idea and throw it out there. Now, first we start saying, no, only publishing of books, recording of music will be considered. Then the same problem exists for almost 80% of the creatives out there, because there are a lot of creative ideas out there. So, I mean, I'm going to come and give you the categories, because we categorized all of them. We scored it, and whatnot. And the requests range from tens of thousands of dollars to small $2,000, that kind of stuff. I can't remember yours, how big it was. But, I mean, it's really, really helpful. There are young people who just want to just buy a piece of equipment, for example. They involve in creative production, and they just want to get some support. So it was really inspiring to know so many people in St. Lucia actually want support to make something happen, to express their creative thoughts. So we will look at that. But the money we're going to get for the next financial year will be taken up already, because we already have applications. So if we get $1 million or $2 million, it's already accounted for, really accounted for. But it was really good to know there's so many people with creative ideas. They just want a little support to make it real.
So no confirmed dates yet?
No,
okay. That's what
I would be foolish to do that. Yeah.
Just shifting gears a little bit to two projects. First off, the Cicero Lookout Viewpoint.
That's fair.
Could you just give us an update on that? And the boardwalk, I think we're a little past the date of when it was supposed to have been completed.
Yeah, well, I mean, let me start with the latter. As I was walking from my building to this one, I was pleasantly surprised, not surprised, happy to see that work had recommenced. The guys had shifted from the other side to here because we really wanted this boardwalk to be finished for this winter season. So clearly it's behind schedule, but they're working on it once again. So we're going to push them. We have a meeting coming up very soon, a project meeting where we'll be discussing the status of all the projects. In that, you have to put the Bannans Bay, which I think we're ready to make it happen now. So we will be addressing that this week when we meet. I think we meet on Thursday. The fair lookout should be completed by March. I'm hoping that come May, we will have Sunset Jazz there. So really introduce it as a new venue. I know Hamilton might want to play there, but you know, but it's going to be a fantastic facility, a real fantastic facility. So it should be completed by March, and hopefully early May we'll officially open it.
On the Bannans Bay front, is there any opposition still, or have all the occupants, residents?
Well, I'm going to be briefed on Thursday what the legal position is right now, because as you recall, the opposition had offered them they would get $1 million if they won the elections, and they had lawyers for them, whatnot. So I'm going to get a briefing, and then I'm going to, decide on the next steps. But we need to move ahead with the project. I mean, we've been more than accommodating, and there are some people that have actually taken monies and just not move. I mean, they've gotten their 50%, they agreed to move, and then somebody come and promise them all the monies they would get, and whatnot. And they've taken government monies and they've just, SLASPA monies, and they've just not moved. So we need to tidy up this situation.
Good day, Mr. Minister. In terms of our independence celebration, we've noticed a lot of enthusiasm with the battle relay. More communities, more people getting involved. It reminds me of Julian Alfred when she came on, the way people have taken it. But in terms of the key players, who, within each community, would there be a team? Would there be a committee? Who are some of the key players involved in sourcing out the persons, the unsung heroes, in doing the organization, the field work, who I know it's not just the ministry, but are there more people involved in the community, at the community level, to assist in bringing this out?
It's actually not the ministries. Local committees are the ones doing it. In my constituency, we did Thursday. Thursday was our day last week. And I'm proud to say I did the entire route again in my constituency. We have a local committee that is made up of persons from each other communities in the constituency, and they put together the program for their community. So when you're going to enter, say for example, Fuasho, there are a group of persons in Fuasho that decides who will be honored this year, different from last year, and then where the stops will be to honor. And then when you go to, Goodlands, you go to Cicero, there are local people that decide. And we honored some people last year. This year we honored a different set of people. There are some businesses we honor each year, Ruby's, Buckeye, Lucilec, because they are major companies in our constituency. The schools this year, we usually on a weekend. This is the first time we on a school day. So it gave us a chance to bring out the schools in our constituency, the daycare, the preschools, the secondary schools, the primary schools, and it was really exciting. And it's not the ministry driving it at the local level. It's really the constituency groups and communities.
Well, I'm just quick. Can you see this initiative transitioning into something a little more creativity in terms of poetry, or songs, jingles, get people from the different communities to express.
No, but that's what happens. You decide. No, you're right. I mean, we had, for example, in Fuasho, we had a pan player, somebody, Crystal Nestor, who has a pan side. We had, Bronx and Mata started it off at the Lookout on the Mound, the Asoka artists. We had drumming. We had poetry from students. So you decide for your community what it is you want to highlight, and there's no limitation. The John Odlum TVET school, they did their own musical presentation. We took a boat, we went across the Marigo Bay to the other side, and I mean, you just decide what it is you really want to show off.
Yes. I know that there is a property that was being developed on the waterfront. I believe it was a Hilton property.
Marriott.
Okay, Marriott property. I know that there was buzzing activity there in terms of construction, and all of a sudden it seems like everything has stopped. Can you give us any insight into why that is?
I mean, I met with the developer, the owner, on Friday last week to discuss the recommencement of the works. So it is going to resume. There are a lot of issues that they have to deal with. Some of the requests they make, sometimes government does not agree to it. I mean, they want to bring in a large number of, for example, a large number of skilled workers. And we say to them, look, you can't really bring in so many workers. You can only bring X amount of workers, and you have to negotiate it. Their concessions ended. We have to renegotiate their concessions. Their financing, they wanted local financing, which has not come through yet. It's just, there are a lot of issues they face. They've lost a lot of money because when the hotel started, it was before COVID. Since COVID, prices have gone up by almost 45% for them. So that created its own financing issues for them. So, but they seem to have cleared all those hurdles, and I'm just hoping that the work will resume in the next few weeks. Very soon too, we'll also be constructing the new Brands and Lucia building, which will be a 7-story building that will comprise all the Brands and Lucia agencies, Tourism Authority, Ministry of Tourism, Exports and Lucia, Community Tourism, Invest and Lucia, CIP. All of them will be housed in one building.
Where will that be?
Next to the pyramid.
Good morning, Minister. So over the past 4 years, St. Lucia has seen quite an increase with its economy in the forefront. Now, with the next financial year starting within April and also being the new Minister for Commerce, can you just tell us in terms of plans the government is institution for this new financial year to improving the economy for St. Lucia?
Yeah. Well, I don't think it would really be appropriate for me to go into some of the details. The Minister of Finance is going to present the estimates, and in May will present the budget, the policy statement, and he will give you the specifics. I can tell you the economy is doing well. We have another year of economic growth. I can also say to you that, the government is quite pleased with the progress that we've made in terms of the unemployment rate, the level of investment in the country, the level of business activity in the country, and you should look forward to another exciting budget. I think the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance over the last 4 budgets have really presented some very imaginative budgets, and I think this one will be no different. I think this year the added point to note is that with the configuration where commerce is now with tourism and investment, you will see a very heavy focus on the ease of doing business in the country and how it is we can facilitate more business at a quicker rate in this country. You will also see an emphasis on supporting St. Lucians to start their businesses. We've promoted that heavily in the tourism sector through the Community Tourism Agency, and you will see more of that where we really promote, local, domestic investment and not just the foreign direct investment. So you will hear a lot about some of the initiatives that will be undertaken, the revision of the Fiscal Incentives Act, a review of the Small Enterprise Development Unit and where it will go from here. So you'll hear a lot of exciting things, certainly from us in the Ministry of Tourism, Investment and Commerce.
Just to clarify, Minister, you said Brand St. Lucia is going to be by the pyramids. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be in the same building where the hotel was, or is that going to be a separate building?
No, between the pyramid and the Finance Administrative Center.
Okay.
Minister, plans are underway for the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival. I could recall you saying that you're waiting, to see the reaction from the general public. So far, what has the reception been like in terms of the lineup? And I know that your ministry has something to reveal. How soon or can we expect that?
The SLTA has to reveal it. No, but the response has been fantastic. really positive. But like everything else, everybody still wants to know who the final artist will be for the Sunday. And I'm not sure they're entirely ready to do so yet, trying to finalize some details to do so. But the response has been really good. We're expecting the French market to be really involved this year with some of the acts that we have on. We've also done a lot of promotion in the UK, so we're expecting quite a lot to happen. At the same time of jazz, we'll be hosting an international investment conference in St. Lucia. So we're also expecting hundreds of people to come for that. And we've tied it in with the jazz, so that'll be even more exciting. So we're looking forward to a bumper jazz festival. And of course, once we get the final act, I think that will be, the icing on the cake. Yeah. But the opening in particular, too, will be a really exciting night.
Do we have a date for that forum? Do you have a date yet? And where?
I think May 6th to the 9th, I think it is, at Royalton. Will be hosted there. Yeah.
This is a question from one of my colleagues. In the aftermath of the Cairo Investment Forum, which emerging or non-traditional sectors are generating the strongest investor interest within St. Lucia's investment landscape and the Citizenship by Investment Program?
Well, I think, St. Lucia has developed a reputation now in terms of hospitality and property development. So there's strong interest in people wanting to buy residences in St. Lucia, which is a very good sign. And you will see some of the investments that will be coming up when we announce them are geared more to residency type hotels rather than the resort type hotels, because people are looking to buy apartments, buy condos in St. Lucia with a lot of the marketing. One of the things, I think you asked a question that we're working on, is a global marketing initiative to really position St. Lucia globally as a premier destination, not just for tourism, but for investment and for business. And again, we're working on it now, and hopefully we'll present it at the time of the estimates. The agro-processing is a big area for us. We're really pushing hard. Export St. Lucia is doing a fantastic job in promoting St. Lucia's products, the sea moss, for example, cocoa, for example, really becoming globally seen as premier products. Our biggest challenge is that we cannot produce enough right now. That's our problem. We really cannot produce enough right now, but we want to put St. Lucia up there. Julian Alfred has helped us a lot in terms of global presence. Of course, just after the Olympics, we were one of the most Googled countries in the world. We want more and more of that to happen. We want St. Lucia to be seen virtually every day, almost every weekend. So Julian Alfred gave it to us during the track season, and whenever she runs, and everybody wants to know, where is this lady from, whatnot. We want to do more than that. We want St. Lucia to always be in the front of everybody's thoughts when they are thinking of traveling. So whenever somebody thinks of traveling, one of the countries that come to their mind is St. Lucia. And we want to create that kind of global impact. So you'll hear some more during the estimates about that.
Since the cruise season, since the uprising in Venezuela, we have seen a lot of cruise ships coming here. Has that impacted us, and how has it been so far?
Well, I don't know that the cruises are coming because of what happened in Venezuela. I think earlier on I did say to you that this year will be the best cruise season on record. So we are, in line for this year, 2026, to be the best cruise season, and that was even before Venezuela. And our plan is, so right now we under 700,000 visitors, maybe around 650. We're hoping to go close to 700,000 this year. And we're hoping in the next 2 to 3 years for us to go close to 1 million visitors. So, we have a plan with GPH in terms of bringing up the numbers in St. Lucia. And of course, Viewfort is still a plan that we have to work on, how we can develop Viewfort to also receive cruise ships. Venezuela really has little to do with it. If anything, what happened in Venezuela caused a little concern to us. We didn't want people believing that the region is unsafe. We've promoted the Caribbean as a zone of peace, and we really treasure that designation that the Caribbean must remain a zone of peace.
Has there been any other cases of an establishment prematurely establishing themselves there in the country?
Well, not what has made Uber unique is the fact that it is a service. Because if somebody is coming to set up a factory, a shop, it is a physical presence. So if they're putting up a building, they need to get DCA approval, they need to get this. If they're setting up an office here, they need to go to Inland Revenue and register, they need to go to Trade License Board, whatnot, because they have a physical presence. If you're coming to sell goods, you need a physical. The challenge of a service, and there are services like legal services, drafting, engineering services. The challenge of Uber was different, is that it's a technology platform. So no physical presence is required. They can stay remotely and offer the service. Now that's different. You know, when the laws were written, in the strict application of the laws, they didn't have AI and social media like we have now. So we now need to see the extent to which our laws apply to those realities. So we've never had a situation like this, although we've had Amazon, Shein, all of you all know Shein, and Airbnb, Booking.com. These are technology platforms, and they operate. So it is not entirely new in a way, but it's the first time we have been forced to focus on how to relate to them in that kind of context. Stop thinking. That's a very good question, by the way.
Speaking as a creative student myself, you spoke a lot about the grants for creatives, and I'm aware there's, the OACS SKIP program as well. But in terms of scholarships for students to go to schools overseas, like maybe NYU or Juilliard, or more programs and schools overseas for St. Lucian creatives, what is the plan to increase the scholarships? Because a lot of the times people don't take the performing arts seriously. There's a lot more programs for doctors and businessmen, and I believe it was one of our Nobel laureates who said a society without the performing arts is a cultural desert. So with that belief in mind, which I'm strongly for, what is the future like to increase those scholarships for the creatives?
Well, again, another good question. If you understand how the scholarships landscape operates in St. Lucia, most of the scholarships we give overseas are countries that offer scholarships to the government for its nationals. And those areas are set out in terms of what the country wants to offer us. The government itself does not have independent scholarships overseas. So we offer scholarships to go to Monroe. Students can go to UWI and apply for assistance to go to UWI. So there is nothing precluding any, St. Lucian student who wants to go to Trinidad or Jamaica, the Edna Manley School of Dance and whatnot, performing arts, from applying for assistance from government, economic costs or tuition costs. You can do so. When I visited Taiwan last year, I visited their university where they have their creative arts program. And one of the things we discussed was how we can encourage St. Lucian students in applying for the Taiwanese scholarship to apply to go to that university where you can go and learn creative arts, whether it is fashion, whether it is painting, whatever it is you want to, you can do so. But we don't offer specifically, scholarships as the government for that purpose.
I mean, as you said, they have to offer it to the government. Is there any talk of the government trying to seek these out to see if there is a possibility in these other countries?
I just did with Taiwan, and it is something that they're very open to. I mean, if you want to attend that university, you can apply for a Taiwanese scholarship and indicate that's the program you want to do. We have a relationship now with the Nigerian government and the visit from the head of state, and we've sent a delegation over to Nigeria at the ending of last year, and it's something we're going to develop and see the extent to which some of our students can benefit, because Nigeria has a vibrant and exciting creative scene that we can utilize for our purposes.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, and we're back again. Prime Minister, I would just like to let you know there are some students from the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College here with us today. So we welcomed them this morning and took a picture with the Deputy Prime Minister as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia, the Honorable Philip J. Pierre.
Good afternoon. I see. Jason Sifley, where have you been? You're on vacation?
In Venezuela.
You enjoyed it?
It was fun at the time.
Not now.
I wish you had done it while I was there, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, that was good bad timing.
I see. You on holiday too?
No, I was not.
Okay.
I was just on here. I was elsewhere.
So who are the students from the morning?
Right here.
Just like
From? Hello. How are you? So you're the students of journalism?
Actually, at DBS.
They are DBS?
Interns.
Okay. Enjoy. Please. Yes, gentlemen, I'm all yours.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister.
Yes. And welcome Old Buske again. Yeah. Yeah.
My first question has to do with Cuba. You mentioned that the World Congress, that pressures from the U.S. Have indicated that there may be issues with students.
I'm glad you used the word me.
So my first question, what's going to happen to the students who are already studying in Cuba?
You see, let's not be hypocritical about it. The U.S. have said in no uncertain terms that they would prefer not to have the Cuban Medical Brigade work in these islands. That has been said on no uncertain terms. Now, that this means that fact is the Cubans the American government have problems with Cuban doctors working in these islands. That is a fact. This means that the entire medical situation, exchange of doctors, students, is under threat. It's rumored that certain islands have already said they will not accept any doctors. St. Lucia has not said so. What St. Lucia has said is that there are problems, there are issues, and there are concerns that the American government has, which is open with the whole doctors, students working from Cuba, working in St. Lucia, and our students studying. Basically, the whole issue of the Cuban embargo, which is something which, as you know, last week, President Trump declared Cuba a threat to American security. So we just been proactive. We are just being proactive. We are friends with the American government. They are friends. We have excellent relationships with them. We have to protect our students. We have to protect our health services. It will be a tremendous loss to us if Cuban doctors can no longer come to St. Lucia. It will be a tremendous loss to our medical services. So we have to be proactive. We also have students training in Cuba. We have to be proactive. The St. Lucia government is being proactive. We are not screaming out of the window, or we are not complaining. We are dealing with the reality of the international situation. This is the global reality we as a small island have to deal with, and we are taking precautionary steps. So when or if that situation emerges, because it's been clear that the American government does not want Cuban doctors to operate in the island. This is a fact. It is clear. This American policy, as said by the Secretary of State. St. Lucia has no issue with American government policy. We can't control American policy. The people of America voted for that policy. That's what they voted. They voted for that policy. So what we have to do is we have to make alternative arrangements for ourselves when these things happen. But we cannot fight with America for its policy. We may not agree with it, but we can't fight with it. That's American government policy. So we have to work with it and work around it. I will not be a hypocrite and come here and tell you that St. Lucia can fight American government policy. We can't. What we can do, we can make alternative plans. We can get together as a region. Our people must understand what we have to deal with, and together we can solve the situation. But America will always remain one of our closest allies.
So just circling back to
The students, those are in Cuba, will continue to be in Cuba. They'll continue to be in Cuba.
So they'll continue their studies?
Well, yes, they will. They will there's no imminent withdrawal from students. No, they'll continue students. Yeah, life goes on, but under the circumstances, understanding that life will be what it is. You understand? Which is you in a state that America has said it's a threat to its security. That's reality. And we must start dealing with the reality of the situation. That has been an executive order from the President of the United States. That's a fact.
So, like you said, we can't fight American policy, and they've taken issue with Cuban doctors being in the region.
Publicly.
In terms of how this affects our own medical system, if push comes to shove, what's the plan moving forward?
Well, it's work in progress. What's happening now is first of all, we have to assess where we are in terms of scholarships for our medical students. That's the first thing we have to do. Secondly, we have to look to other countries. There's Mexico, there are countries in Africa, and that is why it was so short-sighted when a few people were so vehemently against us with the visit of the Nigerian president. You understand? The same people who are crying now, who are hypocritically pretending as if they care. When St. Lucia looked for other sources of support for Nigeria, they were the same people who were condemning and it was spreading all kind of propaganda, etc. Right now, there are certain countries in the region who are now have nurses from Ghana. Right? So St. Lucia is going to be looking at exploring at all these possibilities. Nigeria, Ghana, Mexico, Brazil, all these countries, we're going to be approaching them to see how they can support us if push really comes to shore. But as we speak now, the issue is that we have to look and prepare for the eventuality.
Final question from me for now. Another issue you spoke about at the Congress was the commissioning of the hospital and the costs. I know the budget is coming up, and you did mention the CIP being an avenue to kind of help with that, but with pressures from the EU and other countries, what other means of financing is the government looking at to continue to support the commissioning and the health sector?
Well, the commissioning of St. Jude is going very well. And I think there were some pictures somewhere on there. It's going very, very well. Most of the equipment is in St. Lucia. As you know, that we secured the loan from the Saudi government. Most equipment is in St. Lucia, and it's going very well. I budgeted in the budget you'll hear, in the estimates you'll hear next month, we've budgeted already for the commissioning of the hospital. So that is happening. That will happen. What we have to do, we have to, our economy is performing satisfactorily, but we have to watch our expenses. We have to watch how we spend our money, and we have to be careful that we keep within certain fiscal rules, stay within certain balances, and we haven't been. Right now, that's happening. That is happening. We have a primary surplus coming up. So the economy, as we speak now, is doing relatively well. So we can fund our budget, we can fund our expenses, and we have the funds to commission the hospitals. That's happening now.
On the topic, let's remain on the topic of the hospital for a while. We know that the commissioning is happening in phases. Is there any indication of how many phases are there and when the final phase will come to an end?
First of all, I know you don't like me to say that. Not you, but some people hypocritically want me to say I know everything. I'm not going to say that. I depend on the experts. The experts will tell me the phases.
So they haven't told you yet?
I know the physiotherapy ward and the dialysis ward are being done as we speak. The rest will come in phases. I'm not a doctor.
Okay.
You don't be heard, right?
No problem, sir. Moving on, I heard you speak about the challenges with WASCO.
Have you noticed Rihanna's haircut?
I have noticed it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I have noticed. On the issue of WASCO, I heard you speak about the issues with WASCO. You said that it would take millions of dollars to fix the challenges with WASCO.
Many millions.
I know that we have foreign direct investment for several things. Have we thought about foreign direct investment to fix challenges with WASCO?
Okay, let me tell you something that we've just done in the cabinet. The cabinet has formed a committee to look at a different arrangement for WASCO. You may recall, and probably you may be a little too young for that. You may recall that in a past Labour Party government, we began to deal head first with the issues of WASCO, the corporatization of WASCO. The opposition turned it into privatization, and there was a whole hue and cry about it. That was never happening, right? At that time, the Labour Party had the vision to know that WASCO could not continue as it was continuing now. We understood that vision, and we talk about making a corporate entity. We were criticized by the opposition in non-certain terms. The usual short-sightedness. Right now, WASCO is in a situation where we have to find a solution for it, and the cabinet has formed. We've got several proposals, and the cabinet has formed a committee, a cabinet committee with technocrats to deal with a permanent solution to the issues at WASCO. But as we speak, WASCO is in dire debt, WASCO is in dire circumstances, and I can tell you, the government has subsidized WASCO for the last year of $1.2 million, $1.1 million every month. Government has been subsidizing WASCO for the last year. And I can tell you the source through the CIP.
Sticking on the WASCO front, like you said, it's going to take a lot of money to get WASCO back on its feet. And WASCO did apply for a tariff increase, submitted an application to the NERC.
To the NERC, yes.
However, and correct me if I'm wrong, I cannot find any recent financial audits of WASCO. How does WASCO or the government justify increasing or wanting to increase tariffs?
The government doesn't justify it, the NERC.
Well, what is the government's thoughts on this?
Well, the government, you may not know that the government is one of the biggest clients of WASCO. We have to pay our bills. The government is one of WASCO's biggest clients. We pay our bills. The NERC, and I know that there's been the NERC has an application as to where it stands with the NERC. It's something I think it's been spoken of, but I will agree with the public if they say that they want the services of WASCO to improve. I'll agree with them, but it's a chicken and egg situation, right? WASCO needs revenue. Water in St. Lucia is at a very moderate rate. But what people are saying is they want to get a better service before they pay more for water. And that's why I'm saying to them, begin to harvest water. I'm saying that all the time. And I don't think you ought to pick it up, Do you know the rain that Saturday night I was going to the customs thing. And the rain was falling, rain grows in the rain. And most of the houses, the water's going into the ground. Friday morning, rain all over, guttering into the ground. This budget I'm going to be giving more incentives for people to go into water harvesting. More incentives. Because if we take that line, I mean, just look around. You know, I get excited about that topic. Just look around. You see storage pipes and storage tanks and Wasco pipes going to them. And the guttering on top of the pipe, a guttering on top of the tank, and the water from that gutter going into the road, into the streets, or into the gutter. I want people to make that mental shift. You know, you see, I don't want to. We just sit down and we cry, but we're not doing anything. We have to think. We are people who came from slavery. You know, we are thinkers. We just have to put our thinking cap and stop complaining and stop blaming and stop playing petty politics with people's lives. We can help solve our water problems with Wasco or besides Wasco. Wasco will always be needed as an entity, but we as a people, in the short run, we can solve our water problems even in this job time. Look at it for yourself. I want you to look at it. Storage tanks with Wasco pipes and gutterings on top of it. I'm going to publish his pictures. Because it's something I feel very strongly about. We waste Friday night water going into the ground. But we just complain, we just blame Wasco, blame the Prime Minister, blame the Minister. But what we have to do is we have to understand that there are issues that we have to confront as a country. And these issues have to be confronted by any government. And the people of St. Lucia decided on the 1st of December that they would chosen a government with an overwhelming majority. And this government is going to work to help the people of this country. And what I want to see, I want to call the country together to say, let us stop. Let's stop it. Let's take a pause. There will be no elections next year. Elections are going to be 5 years down the line. You know, I don't want to see. I have 16 seats, I don't want 17. So I'm not calling no election. I have 16 seats. I don't want 17, I have 16. I ain't going to election. So let's not believe election. There ain't no election coming. Let's sit down and let's work for the country. And I want the whole country to try to get behind the government for this water harvesting. I'm begging. Food security. We're going to be, in the budget, we're going to be making many proposals for people to get back to the kitchen garden concept, the school garden concept, growing food in little spaces. You remember how, I know you recall because you were there, how I was criticized for this banana thing? You remember that? How I was criticized by this, telling people to you know, what you want to eat? Apples and grapes? Continue. We have to eat them too. But we have the fruits. We have to have a mental shift. We cannot stay as a country and blame politicians and pass the blame when we can make these changes ourselves by simple lifestyle changes. Very simple. And we have to put ourselves and cut off this. And we go into all kinds of stories about things we cannot change. You think I can sit down and cry and die about policies I can't change? I have to walk around them. I have to walk around because you can't change it. No one can. These are policies that governments have put and we cannot change it. So you think I can, and now people, and what concerns me is people seem to be rejoicing. When there's something that seems to be affecting the country, as if there's a rejoicing, or it happened to them, now it happened to them. Why? Elections are gone. It's gone. And I'm not in the business of wanting to win all 17 seats. That's not my purpose. I have 16, I don't want 17. So I don't see why they must be so making so much fuss. I have 16. It's a fact. Next question.
Just to linger a little bit longer on Wasco.
Have you written about water harvesting?
Not yet.
You will?
Eventually, yes.
Eventually?
All right. In terms of the management of Wasco's assets, though, we know that you've said on several occasions yourself that the pipes are bad, right? However, we know that this infrastructure didn't go bad overnight. So with the reforming of Wasco, or maybe the better management of Wasco in the future, what would be put in place so that we can ensure that almost a succession plan or something like of that sort is put in place so that when the issues do arise after a while, we have something put in place for in that regard.
Okay, I'll tell you what. What we started doing now already is that anywhere a new road is being built, the pipes have been put in. Even in side roads, like in my constituency, if you go, you see a lot of roads that we built, we put in the pipes. So that's the first thing. That comes at a cost. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to ensure that anywhere a new road is going to be built, that the pipes are not in the middle of the road. First thing. Second thing we have to do is we have to also ensure that in where there is water loss, like in certain places where you have a series of pipes called spaghetti pipes, a series of pipes, we have to make sure, we have to try and see if we can convert it into one member. I do that in my constituency. My constituency in places I don't know if you know a place called Bagassi, you know that?
Yes, I know
we did that. We ensured in areas before I put the pipes in one. So we have to begin to see if we can have less loss of water in the pipe. That's a simple step. Second step, the Vasco infrastructure is aged. It's aged. We have to deal with it. And that's why it takes money, a lot of money. And then the same people that complain about the public debt. The same people. You heard in the campaign that we borrowed how many billion? Well, I wasn't sure. I mean, the majority of people did not believe that, but that's a fact. That's the fact is, same people talk about debt. So that is why I'm telling you again, why we repair Vasco, harvest water. Please. I'm begging the people of St. Lucia, I'm begging them. Because I see it myself. I see it. And every time I'll be speaking to people, I'll be begging them to harvest water. Tanks of Wasco water going into that. That's storage. That's not harvesting. That's storage. Yes.
Any other questions?
So while you're mentioning about the harvesting of water, should you make it mandatory, especially in building a new house, that your tank is built? I believe it's in
the Ministry of Physical Development is looking into that whole, all the things, the certain criteria you must have in building water, in building a house. That's been looked into. Because if you go to Bermuda has these laws, about water and parking, etc. So we have to be a little more disciplined in this country, right? We have to exercise more self-regulation. What's happening in the roads now? Carnage in the roads, lack of discipline. But we still make excuses. For political reasons, we make excuses. Carnage on the roads. People are losing their lives. And not if those who not lose their lives, they're being maimed. They're losing their limbs. They're losing their limbs. I mean, even though no one dies, but when you have an injury and the cost of health care, that causes all these hospital visits for accidents, increases the cost of health care. We just have to be a little more disciplined. Why do people say, oh, no police on the road? You have to pay the police. But you said that the health and security levy is too high. Why aren't we telling people that just drive slower? Why are you just telling them that? So what did they? You hear? Police put police patrols, put demerit this, put that. All that's necessary. It costs. We just put out 86 new police, 86 new recruits, 64 police, and the rest are fire service and SLASPO. Port police and SLASPO. Right? That these were just, and I want to start a new group very soon. But the police academy needs repairs. So I need to get $1 million to repair the police academy. It needs repairs, right? Now, the health and security levy that was promised to be removed, the health and security levy this year will bring about between $40 and $42 million, between $40 and $45 million at the extreme. The health and security levy performed well because of the buoyancy in the economy. That is not enough to fund our health and security needs. We have a new K9. It has specific requirements. We have to build a building for it. We have to build a home for it. It has requirements. It has the dimensions of the rooms. It's special requirements for the K9. Costs money. We need a new vessel. We need a new vessel. Money. So all these things cost money. And where do you get the money from? Two places: loans or taxes. St. Lucia is still one of the lowest tax countries in the region. Still one of the lowest tax countries, but people complain about taxes. So there's a situation where we have to come together as a nation. We have to forget what happened on the 1st of December, and let's work together until the 1st of December comes.
Mr. Prime Minister, both you and the Deputy Prime Minister are sounding fairly confident about our economic footing, that we're on pretty good economic footing. But a lot of the signals that we're getting from the world around us, including students and medical assistants from Cuba, pressure on the CIP, the wiping out of funding aid from agencies like USAID, and these things seem to indicate that there is a noose tightening around our economic neck, that we have problems in 2026 that we haven't had for decades, that we probably never even had before. How are we going to navigate these problems to maintain that sound economic footing? Is 2026 a kind of a threshold there for us where we're going to sink or swim, given the conditions that we're under, the kind of pressures that we're under from our strongest, longest lasting ally?
First of all, we cannot lie down and die. We're not going to lie down and die. We cannot lie down and die. What? Secondly, we have to assess our strengths. Right? And thirdly, we have to look at realism as to what is possible and what is not possible. Now, there are a few things, and that is why I am emphasizing on these things. There are a few things we can avoid. We can avoid an exorbitant cost in our healthcare if we do a few simple things. A few simple things. If we try to reduce the level of non-communicable diseases by simple lifestyle changes, very simple lifestyle changes, very simple lifestyle changes. If we reduce the number of accidents, if you reduce the number of stabbings and shootings, we can incrementally reduce the cost of our health care. These are things we have control over. Secondly, our country right now depends, we have the capacity to feed ourselves. We have the capacity. We're self-sufficient in eggs already as a country. What we have to do is that we have to create the enabling environment by encouraging young people into farming, by encouraging new varieties of crops, by looking to improve our food security, by changing our lifestyle, changing our taste, beginning to eat what we grow. Very simple changes which will help reduce our import bill. Our private sector has to come on board in that regard. We are doing very well in the production of honey and CMOS. There are issues there, but we have to ensure that we meet these international standards by making sure that we do what the international world is asking for us. Thirdly, we have to embrace the economic sector that we have a comparative advantage on. That comparative advantage we have is on tourism. But we have to embrace the tourism industry. That is where we have the comparative advantage. But we also have to have some simple changes. We have to limit harassing our tourists. We have to ensure that we don't encourage people to do ill to our tourists and say these people making a living. We have to ensure that we become guardians of the tourism industry. We have to stop harassment. We have to stop these kind of things. We have to stop littering. Things we can do. There's millions of dollars spent in littering. Simple lifestyle. Stop throwing rubbish in the river. Simple. Very simple. We'll save millions of dollars. If you go to the rivers now in St. Lucia, all what you'll see there is things people throw. Take a walk. Members of the press, take a walk. Go to the rivers. Everything that's there is what somebody threw in there. We stop that, we save millions of dollars. Millions. Garbage disposal is costing us millions of dollars. We save these things. Little things. The economic situation is for us now. We have an odd flow of investment opportunities. People want to invest in St. Lucia. People see St. Lucia as a good place to do business. But we cannot let that situation die by our own actions. We cannot. The government is working on ease on doing business. We wanted to make it easier for people to set up business in St. Lucia. Make it easier. Right? So you're right. Every opportunity there is, we must make use of it. And there are challenges, but we will not. And the government that I lead will not lie down and die. We'll seek the cooperation of the people of St. Lucia for us to move together. And my faith and my hope is in the young people of St. Lucia. You see what they are doing. The young people of St. Lucia not getting, they're involved in things. They're involved in a lot of things. And that's why the youth economy has been such a success. Because the young people, and you want to create that opportunity for them. You understand? So, you're very right, Jason. There are very serious headwinds. Very right. Very correct. But I have confidence that the people of St. Lucia.
If you don't mind my asking, it sounds like you're saying that the efficiency of the domestic economy, of what we do between us, not even without exports, without considering,
can help a lot.
That it makes millions and millions of dollars of difference in...
Millions and millions of difference. Millions, just simple change in lifestyles.
Right, but what you're asking for is behavioral change from people who are used to wasting, people who are used to letting mangoes rot on the ground.
That's why it's not too late for us to have a lifestyle change. Not too late. Not too late. You think it's too late?
Yeah, but how do we get people who are accustomed of letting mangoes be food for flies and rats?
Education, people like you, influencers, media personnel, some politicians. That's what you have to do. Young people, advocates. Because that talent is there. That talent is there. But you're right. Behavioral changes can cause us to save millions of dollars. Behavioral changes. Millions of dollars. But you're right. The environment outside is pretty hostile.
Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister. Kishana Smith, Choice TV. At Friday's police graduation, you mentioned that your government remains committed to providing a myriad of resources for the police force in an effort to tackling crime. Are you satisfied with the results of these resources, especially in keeping with the idea that the RSLPF is building on its capacity?
Is what?
Is building on its capacity. Are you satisfied with the result?
First of all, as I said at the graduation, I have confidence in the police force. I have confidence in them. The police force, the government has given them resources. They need more. Right? But as I said there's always fiscal, there are certain things that you want to do, but you can't do it because of the fiscal constraints in the country. But what the issue with the police is that the police have to work to get the confidence of the community. I think that's the biggest issue. Trust. I don't think the community has embraced, and I know the police are working towards it. The police have to make the community embrace them and become more. You understand? So it's going to be a situation where the people believe in the police and the police believe in people. So I think what needs to happen now is there needs to be a closer embrace between the police and the people. And the police can help in this regard, But in terms of resources, we'll continue to give them the resources that you can give them. But they need more. We need more trust, even trust within the police themselves. That's it for the office. Prime Minister's secretary. The cabinet. The Prime Minister's lounge. Prime Minister's office.
Nice to see you. You know, like my students. He has some very good questions.
Come closer.
They look like my students. You know everybody there? Give me trouble in math class. As they should be. This young lady all three. Impossible. Impossible.